ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। We have successfully completed looking into Kathopanishad. Before I go off for the YUP course, and then there is Mahasamadhi camp, and by the time we restart the satsangs after June 6th, so we have only a small window. And it's a small window, probably 3 Sundays, right? So I thought and spent quite a time contemplating what would be the right topic to dwell into. So one thing that clicked yesterday night before I signed off for the day, that whenever I spoke in the past referring to the glorious past and history of Bharatvarsha, various accomplishments, there has been a constant discussion, debates, arguments that have continued. That particular example was stated that it about a week or so that people, whenever they would meet me, and there'd be a discussion on that topic. So I said maybe it would not be a bad idea to dwell into that aspect, so that recognizing which the pride belonging to such a vast, rich culture and tradition, and the understanding of it as to how far, how deep it goes. Like, what am I talking about? Say, for example, music. Do you know the oldest forms of musical instruments that have been ever used? What comes to your mind? I said instrument. What? Flute and the cymbals, mridangam, percussion instrument called mridangam. I can't hear you really. Dry gourd for mixing and shaking things in it. I have a couple of them in my room. Veena. So the ancient most instruments that we hear are veena, mridanga, flute, cymbals. And how ancient? When we look into music aspect of it, we'll dwell into it. There's so many enriching facts about the geographical disposition and how in this geographical disposition we had a varied amount of depth of knowledge in various aspects. After, I'm just taking another example here to just show you the depth of it. And since there is officially only one couple that I can ask this question because they are married. So, do you remember your marriage ceremony? Sorta, kinda. Okay. So, after the marriage is done, after the 7 steps are taken, the next day, early morning, the priest takes the couple and shows them in the sky right next to the moon. There is a small star like particle. Do you remember having shown that? And at that time, usually, with the naked eyes, probably you'll not be able to see it. And he says, "Did you see it? You should be seeing it. Can you?" And you look at it and say, "Yeah, yeah," and then walk out. Just a part of tradition. Now, when you look back into the marriage of Bhagwan Krishna and Rukmini, marriage of Bhagwan Ramchandra ji and Sita ji, even ancient than that is Lord Shiva and Parvati. There is a process wherein they are shown this particular star. Explanation of it. Most of the systems in our planetary objects out there, there is one which is stationary, the other one which is revolving around it. Even if there is one revolving around its own axis, the other one is revolving around it, and both of them are revolving around the central object, which is usually the greater magnetic force. It like sun here, and we have earth and moon as an example. Wherever there is binary system of stars, there is one which is constant and the other one rotates around it, right? But this particular star, which is called Arundhati Nakshatra, which is shown, this Arundhati Nakshatra is a binary system, and it has got a vast deep significance to the married couple. And it is the most unusual of the binary system of stars. These stars, these two stars, they are not, it's not like there's one which is constant and the other one which is revolving. They both are revolving and revolving around each other. It's a very unusual binary star system. They both are revolving and they both are revolving around each other. Can you imagine, visualize it? Usually there is one which is constant and the other is rotating. This is like they are rotating around each other. And the significance that is drawn is, in a married life, the equation between husband and wife is not that it has to be that one is important and the other has to be subservient to the other and revolving around them, making them their center of life. Then that equation will always be painful. But instead, it is both are equally important and both have to make each other the center of their life and revolve around accommodating their presence in your life. This is the significance of it that has to be explained. I don't know if your Panditji, whoever got you married, explained this to you. Explained it? He saw a YouTube video on it. But what amazes me is that particular star, that it is a binary star system, was recognized about 150, 160 years ago. Before which they thought that it was one simple dot, one star. And when did the astronomers, or you call them astronomers? When did they recognize that it was a binary system? About 160 years ago. We are talking about the scriptural reference of that being shown as a sample example of in marriage of Lord Sri Rama with Sita ji. We are shown that as an example of the process of marriage after Bhagwan Shiva gets married to Parvati, taken by Brahma ji. That is the Arundhati Nakshatra, that is how you have to lead your life. How did in those ancient time, when we don't see that they have had any possibility of a telescope or any such equipment, even come to understand that the star there is a binary system and it can be used as this example to say that this is how marriage should be? That being used as a symbolic gesture to show is one aspect of it. The more amazing aspect of it, how in heaven did they even know that there was that system and it is revolving around each other? Is another example. There are various such examples that can be taken for reference. Another mind-boggling example that comes into picture, it's not any random reference that you are desperate trying to prove that what it is talking about, it can be correlated to something of what today's science has proclaimed. There is one particular portion of mantra in the Vedas called Aruna Prashna. Aruna, one of the names of Lord Sun. So it's the glories of sun which are being enumerated in it. One particular paragraph, Anuvaka, paragraph is often referred to as Anuvaka. One particular paragraph or Anuvaka talks about only numbers, random numbers. And many priests who have studied that Aruna Prashna very religiously chant those numbers, realize that what that bunch of numbers are trying to say is the formula by which you can, to the 10th decimal, find the distance between Earth and Sun, thereby deducting the distance between Sun and Moon and the distance between Moon and the Earth. And the next part of it, it talks about the formula to find the speed of light. And there they use a particular word called Trisranu. Trisranu, I'll explain that in a brief while. They take this Trisranu and say that when the sun's light passes through, it's a subset of that particular formula which is said there. I'm just picking one subset of it. They said when the sun's light passes through this molecule which has got 3 atoms in it, from one end to the other, the time taken is the smallest calculated amount of time. Multiples of it comes to be evaluated as a second, and from there we all know how time is calculated. Therefore, that smallest particle of time is called Trisranu. Now, can you give me an example as to what molecule are we talking about which has got 3 atoms which are always together? Think. Water is a good example though. See, if it was water, they would have said Jalam, they would have said Sanskrit word for it. But they don't use the Sanskrit word, they call it as Trisranu. When the experiments were done of the light passing through water or carbon dioxide, and its multiple did not yield the time equivalent of a second. When the experiments were done, they found that the sunlight, when it passes through ozone, that's O3, right? And the multiples of that time taken when calculated comes exactly about 1 second, which is like 1/100th of a second is that Trisranu. Isn't it amazing? Another beautiful aspect of that Aruna Prashna, I'm just taking random examples from various aspects of scriptures to say that these rishis or the sages were not talking about things in a mystical terms out of their hat. Science had evolved quite a bit, and their perspective was pretty grounded in logic and reasoning. And their observations were very astute observations. So in this very Aruna Prashna, there is another Phalashruti part, the benefits of this Aruna Prashna. There, it talks about Earth having 7 continents. When you read through the world history, when is it is referred to as that Earth is not flat, first of all? How long ago did they discover this? Who discovered that Earth is round? What is his name? Galileo? Yes, it was Galileo. He stated that Earth is not flat, it is actually spherical in shape. Wherever in the scripture the study of Earth is mentioned, that study is called Bhugola. Earth is always referred to as Bhugola. Gola means round. Earth, that it is round. See, I have read through these parts so many times, but it didn't click in that angle that, oh my God, we never assumed that Earth was flat. Always it was referred to as Bhugola, that it is round. And the definition of Earth has been Saptadvipa Vasundhara. Saptadvipa Vasundhara, 7 continents. That is how you recognize the Earth. It is filled with 7 continents. In that Aruna Prashna, the details that are given, it says that 2 the extreme poles are almost uninhabitable. But then this particular Aruna Prashna mantra and the ritual to invoke the blessings of Lord Sun, amazing effect if it is done for a mandala paryanta. Mandala again here means a period of 41 days. And how should those 41 days be? What are the qualifications of the 41 days? That the sun does not set. The sun is always in the horizon. And in such environment, this mantra, by a group of people, when they chant this particular mantra, it has an amazing impact. And there they say that Uttara Dishayam, in the northernmost frontier, there is this vast, it is the icebergs. There you will find 41 days convenient for this upasana. In that one simple sentence where earth is called round. Earth has 7 continents, and that the North Pole and South Pole is almost uninhabitable. But on the North Pole you have a convenient environment where it has 41 days of sunlight where the sun doesn't set. Even today it is a fact. And this being mentioned in the Upanishad, not in the Upanishad, the Aruna Prashna, it just shows the amount of, or the vastness of accessible knowledge that was there in those times. Right? Now let's talk about the language that all of this was communicated in. What was the language called? Sanskritam. Now we write it in English and call it Sanskrit. But the actual pronunciation of it would be Sanskritam. Now this Sanskritam, it is organized. Even the very thought of organizing the syllables that are commonly uttered amazes me every time I speak about it. What is the first syllable that is a part of the Varnamala? A. Right? What is the last syllable of the Varnamala? Those are combined consonants. They are not consonants by themselves. Ksha, Gnya, they are all combined consonants. That is a vowel. Aha. Z. Nice anticlimax there. It is M. And the way they have organized it, and most of the Indian languages, what is mother called as? Ma or Amma. Right? The most simple, easy to pronounce syllables are A and Ma. You open your mouth and what sound comes out is A. You close your mouth and what sound is made? Ma. And that person that you are constantly interacting with right since you are born, called as Ma or Amma. Between this A and Ma, all other vowels and consonants are laid out. And how are they grouped? They are grouped according to the origin of sound. They are not randomly organized. The origin of sound is what decides which group it goes into. Like the most easiest example is, my favorite is the Pavarga. Pavarga, the group starting from Pa ending in Ma. Those of you know those syllables, can you say it? Those 5 syllables? Pa, Pa, ba, bha, ma. Now the challenge for you is to utter these syllables without the upper lip and the lower lip coming together. Try. It's impossible to make those sounds. Therefore, they are called as ostya. Ostya, when the lips, oshta means lip, when the lips come together, the upper and the lower lip come together, the sound, the group of sounds that can be made, pa, pha, ba, bha, ma. So beautifully organized. And what is the most sacred syllable that all Hindu chant? Three syllables in that: Om, A, U, and Ma. Again, in that, it covers the entire range of sounds that can be produced. A is the first sound, Ma is the last sound. When you are uttering A, mouth is open. I'm not saying that you're yawning, but mouth is open. When you're saying Ma, mouth is closed. What is the midpoint? When you are pronouncing U, where the mouth is neither open nor closed, semi-open. A, U, Ma, when you join them, the sound that is made is the primordial sound called Om. Now the sequence of all these syllables are arranged in such a way that it makes transition between sounds easier and combining them easier to pronounce, learn and speak. Sanskritam, the language. In Sanskritam, see how much they have thought and the depth that has gone in. To understand Sanskrit is easy. The rules are very simple. Exceptions are the ones which are confusing. The entire volume of Sanskrit spends its time mostly on the exceptions and very little time on the rules. Rules are simple. The entire vocabulary of Sanskritam can be put under calculated verbs, not verbs, they are called root words, dhatu. Do you know how many root words are there? All different vocabulary sounds can be made, meaningful ones. You said you had some introduction to Sanskrit, right? हाँ तो बोलो. 2250 dhatus are there. Adding prefixes and suffixes and changing those tenses, you get the entire vast vocabulary of Sanskritam. So if you want to master Sanskritam, master these 2250 dhatus and you have mastered the entire language. Isn't it simple? If you look at it, do you not know more than 2250 words in English? Yes. Spend a little more time on this and you'll master these 2250 words. The entire vocabulary is at your disposal. I'm giving you a different perspective to look at how simple it is. It's not that difficult. Even if you learn 150 of these dhatus, you can be considered a pandita, an expert. Maha Pandita, you have to know everything. Sanskritam as language. Now medicine. Today's medicine, any medicine that you take, it essentially has a nagging after effect, doesn't it? Yes, no? I thought you said something. Okay, the doctor to be. Do you agree? When you go into the medicine system of the ancient past that was followed throughout Bharatvarsha, it was not even called as medicine, it was called Ayuhu Veda, the knowledge of extending life expectancy. Though today's modern world says that we have increased the life expectancy. What is the life expectancy today? 75. And we say we have increased the life expectancy. Good job. What was the average age? I'm not talking of long ago, just about 3,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago. Do you know the average age of Mahabharata times? About 125 to 140. So now today's life expectancy has become half of it. And whenever the well-wishers or saints and sages, when they give Ashirvada to the students or the loved ones, what do they say? Ayushman Bhava, Shatayushi Bhava. Shatayushi Bhava, live 100 of years. And they say, Jiveda Sharada Shatam. May you have the glorious life to enjoy hundreds of springs. But, cold winter season. Even in there is that optimization and such positivity to look forward. That may you enjoy hundreds of springs in your life. It's the best part of the season, right? When all the flowers, all the leaves, the trees are, the nature is, unleashing itself. So I had gone to somebody's birthday and they did Namaskar Chamatkar, and then as a blessing I said, Jiveda Sharada Shatam, may you live 100 years. Immediately they reacted, that individual reacted, that Amma. She said, why are you cursing me, Swamiji? All that I pray to that Lord is, oh Lord, let me live a short and sweet life. I don't want to be bedridden. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to be ill. I don't want to be taken care of. Before such things happen, take me away from this world. Swamiji, that should be the blessings. And this is what I call neo-intellectualism. Neo-intellectualism is actually a gali, if you did not understand. It's my choicest curse word. They think they are intelligent, but they are new to that field of intellectualism. Why did the ancient ones always bless that you live 100 of years and more? It is a beautiful opportunity to be born as a human being, a very rare process to be born as a human being. And that purpose for which you are born as a human being, when you have healthy, long life, you can achieve it in this very lifetime. May you not postpone it for life after life after life. Let that purposefulness be achieved here and now, for which you need the full span of it. How do you get the maximum out of it? Ayuhu Veda, Ayurveda. This Ayurveda was given by a deity called Dhanvantari, and he comes and gives this knowledge to the first one who brought the process of understanding our own system and how to equip it to extend it maximum benefit. And his work, his treatise is called Charaka Samhita. You have learnt a few of it, right? So what does Charaka Samhita deal with? A very loose way of looking at it is, because if I go into specifics, it itself is a huge topic to deal with. Charaka Samhita deals with diagnostics. Major portion of it focuses on diagnosing the patient as to what they're going through. There is another work in Ayurveda which is called Vagbhatta Samhita. There is a great master called Vagbhatta. And that Vagbhatta, the treatise that he has written is called Vagbhatta Samhita. It talks about prescriptions. What can be prescribed, what combinations can be prescribed. And it was embedded into the living system in such a way that even today the oldest person in the family, when somebody is coughing, when somebody is sick, when somebody has some issue, they say, oh, take this and mix it with that and warm it up and take, you should be okay by evening. Have you heard of people give such suggestion? In Hindi it is called nuska, suggestions. Oh, I am having indigestion, so take ajwain. You know what is ajwain? How do I translate it in English? Ajwain. If you come to my kitchen, I'll show it to you. And just taking it with warm water, 1 spoon of it, and just down. Though it seems very simple solutions given by almost illiterate grandmothers, and I don't believe in what they say. This is all superstition. When you go into Ayurvedic remedies that are suggested, there is a logic behind understanding what that material is, what kind of nature that material is, what it impacts, how it impacts, whether you should take it in daytime or night time, what happens to the system at night time, what happens when you wake up. Analysis. Vagbhatta Samhita. There are times when you have to induce certain elements which are not a natural part of our body or the system, and to use them was a third work called Sushruta Samhita. See, I'm just giving you too much of data points. If you want, you can write this and do your research on each one of them, and you can spend a lifetime on research on one thing that I'm talking about. So Sushruta Samhita talks about surgeries. Surgeries were not something new. Can you name the most ancient surgery that you can remember? Think like a Hindu, you will have a better answer. Just giving you a hint. You're almost there. Head replacement. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Medeva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Who did I invoke? Lord Ganesha. So what happened to him while he was young? His head got chopped off. And then what did they do? They did not replace it with another human, but instead replaced it with an elephant head. And to match the genetics and match the, and if blood group doesn't match and you try to poke someone else's blood, the system reacts. They replaced the head and then matched it with an elephant. Can you imagine? When we read such stories, it must be just a story made up. If a story has to be made up, why would they imagine to create such story in first place? Why not something else? Are you getting my point? There's another episode wherein Lord Shiva, his wife Sati, goes to attend her father's function. There he insults Lord Shiva. Son-in-law and father-in-law did not look eye to eye. So he insults. There she abandons her body and invokes that fire and leaves this world. Shiva gets, usually he is a cool guy. Isn't he? He's always like in his own meditation. And this one time he flipped. He completely lost it. And he pulls a strand of his jata, bangs it on the floor, and Veerabhadra appears. And Veerabhadra, seeing his master being so agitated, he finds out the cause, which happens to be Daksha Prajapati. And the entire place is turned upside down. There is this rishi that comes to stop him, to use the mantra shakti on him to stop. Before he could pour water into his hand and utter something, this Veerabhadra catches hold of his beard. The entire thing comes out in his hand. His name is Bhrugu. Then later, Daksha Prajapati loses his head. Bhrugu loses his beard. Lord Sun loses his teeth. Even today he is called, he doesn't have dental coverage because he doesn't need it. He's toothless. Did you know that? That Surya is toothless. That is why the prasad that is offered to Surya during the Pongal time, how is the food that is offered? It's so mashed up that you don't need teeth. Does it make sense? I'm not making it up, Baba. Now, it would be a teasing gesture if you offer something very crunchy to one who doesn't have teeth. Instead of giving you blessings, you'll say, you invite somebody who doesn't have teeth and offer them some crunchy munchy things to give, to eat. They'll not relish it. So to Surya, who has lost his dentures, lost his teeth, so Daksha Prajapati gets the goat head. The he-goat, the male goat, has a small beard. That beard was removed and plastered on Bhrugu. So technically speaking, fashion statement, first fashion statement of carrying a goatee, literally from a goat, was by sage Bhrugu. You get the point? So the first transplant that we talk of is way back then. And in Sushruta Samhita, the number of surgical instruments, I know I must be too geeky in my head with electronic surgical. Instead of calling it instruments, I was thinking of surgical gadgets. It's not wrong to call it so, but surgical instruments, do you know how many of them are mentioned? About 437 surgical instruments are mentioned, which use different kinds of methods of sutures, of different kinds of methods to operate, repair, cut, replaster the bones, various aspects of it is covered. And one thing that I can promise, that when these Ayurvedic medicines are taken for that purpose of that disease to be relieved, I am yet to find a medicine which has an impact of after effects. When you don't have such ailment and you take some thing extra, it will impact you. But for that purpose of ailment, you take a medicine, it will not have a after effect. Music, language, astronomy, astrology, medicine, and ending it with just giving this all introduction. I'll go systematically into each one of them in the next 2 lectures. I want to highlight something. There are 10 major Upanishads. Of these 10, there are 2 which are huge, bulk in their size. One is called the Chandogya Upanishad, and the other one is called Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Now, Chandogya Upanishad is also very huge. In Chandogya Upanishad, there is a dialogue in the 7th chapter, in the 7th Prapatika or the 7th chapter. There is a dialogue between Narada Muni, a poor fellow man. He has been wrongly depicted as Kalaha Priya. Kalaha Priya, that when somebody is trying to start a fire rift between 2 people, and all that you have to do is say Narayana, Narayana. You understand that somebody is playing Narada's role in creating a rift. The very name Narada, the root word again is Nara. Nara means knowledge. The one who establishes himself in that knowledge, himself or herself in that knowledge, where do they reach? They reach the abode of knowledge, which is called Narayana. Again, the root word there is Nara, Ayana, abode. Abode of knowledge is Narayana. Who is qualified to apply this knowledge? Nara, Nari, human. If we do not apply this knowledge, absence of this knowledge, what is it called? Naraka. Naraka, that where the knowledge is absent. Therefore, the experience being misery, agitation, and frustration. The one who blesses us with that knowledge is called Narada. Naram Dadati, the one who gives knowledge. Naraji was sitting on the banks of Saraswati river. Sanat Kumaras, there are 4 of them. They always, what do you call if the 4 born together? Quadruplets? Did I say it right? Doctors, quadruplets, right? Okay. Twins, triplets, and quadruplets. They were quadruplets. And these were the ones who gave Shapa, Jaya Vijaya, who later became Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Shishupala, Dantavakra. So these were very powerful 4. They find this Narada sitting on the banks of Saraswati river, very disturbed. So, the Sanat Kumaras ask, "Hey Narada, you are Triloka Sanchari. You move from one world to the other. And you are constantly in company of Lord Narayana himself. What makes you look so sad? Why are you looking so, distraught? What is bothering you?" Thus starts the discussion. Then the message given by them is a very beautiful message. But I'm taking a small portion of it, where Narada says, and what he illustrates here is a 1.5 page list. Like, do you have visiting cards these days? What are the components of the visiting card? You have name. Usually the name is prefixed with, if you are a doctor, if you are, there's a doctor, Dr. So and so. And otherwise you have the qualifications after the name, in parenthesis you write, MA, MSc, whatever that you have to write. If Narada was to get a visiting card, it would have been a huge page, 1.5 page. And he says, "O Sanat Kumaras, I have spent my entire time and I have mastered Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda. I have mastered the Itihasa. I have mastered the Puranas. I have mastered the Upapuranas. I have learnt linguistics. I have learnt grammar. I have learnt rituals. I have learnt the science of numbers. Ganita Shastra, Rasayana Shastra. Rasayana is chemistry. Bhugola, geography. Khagola, astronomy. Jyotishya, astrology." And he goes on and on and on and on, saying that I have learnt all these different skills and yet feel that what I have learnt is like a sand particle in the vast oceans of. The reason I am stating all this is, when you look at the Vedas, it is not just talking about God. It is not just talking about spirituality. It is not just talking about how to connect yourself into that spiritual realm. When you come to this spiritual environment, that is what we focus on, given. But that does not mean that the Vedic literature and the literature of that particular time focuses only on that. That English is a language of communication these days. Mathematics, science, physics, chemistry, biology, botany, what language are they all printed in, communicated in? Isn't it English? In the ancient past, it was in the language called Sanskritam. And the culmination of all this knowledge is called Veda. Themes of knowledge was studied by Narada. And in the field of mathematics, what is India's contribution? Zero. Literally, the concept of zero is born from the Indian mathematicians. Not just zero. Even infinity was a concept that was born in India. Decimals, the use of decimals, the use of negative numbers. And there is one particular sutra which is my favorite sutra of the mathematics, is what today we recognize as real number analysis. The first time I read it, about 16, 17 years ago when I read it, it hit me with a profoundness. I was like awestruck for a few days. It says all numbers that we calculate and interact with are arbitrary. There is no real value called 1, 2, 3, 4 to whatever we count. There is no real value to it. Why? They say between 0 and 1 there are infinite possibilities. Therefore, 1 is an arbitrary number representing infinite. Take that. Do you get the idea? Now you should all go watch that Ramanujam thing. You know, there's a movie called Ramanujam on one of the most brilliant mathematicians. The formulas that he has written on his deathbed are yet to be solved. This is in 1800s. I'm talking way before that. Aryabhatta, Bhaskaracharya, Leelavati, and these are all, yeah, I did mention a woman's name too. That the knowledge was not just limited to men. There were women scholars too. And the last point that I say is, in one of the commentaries of Adi Shankaracharya, he talks about a word that he mentions is Gurutva Karshanat. The reason that we can put another step forward and move on the earth is because of Gurutva Karshana. Do you know what Gurutva Karshana translates to? Akarshana, pull. Gurutva Karshana, the word Guru, that's why sometimes when you are chanting Guru Stotram, I am tickled beyond resistance. I have to keep a poker face and I pull along every session. Tasmai Shri, what is the word there? Gurave Namaha. If you chant it as Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, the meaning changes. Because the word Guru, there is one meaning of masculine reference, as the word itself is masculine, which means referring to that Guru who removes darkness of ignorance and blesses us with knowledge. The other meaning of the word Guru is neuter gender, and it means burden, load or weight. So when we chant as Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, what are we invoking? I invoke the blessings of burden in my life. When I chant it as Gurave Namaha, then it means I am invoking the blessings of that one who releases me from such bondage. So Guru there means weight, burden, Akarshana. That because of which Akarshana, there is a pull, that I feel the weight going down, not upwards. And he very casually mentions it in his commentary. Like, in a common conversation when you refer to something, like, in today's political environment, if I say, don't act like Trump, there will be a smile on your face. Why are you also serious? Are you supporting him? Because I was shocked, some Hindu people were performing Havan for the success of Trump's victory. I said, "Kya mati mari gayi hai buddhu?" So you know that Trump is a sad phenomena that is happening, and it is a common reference. Though you may not be using it the way I am using it, but you know what I am referring to. So when Adi Shankaracharya ji in his commentary and passing by statement, he says this is because of Gurutva Karshana and moves. He doesn't explain that it is gravity, expecting that those who are reading it already are aware of such in the science. Therefore, he is using this here as the example. Adi Shankaracharya ji born about 2500 years from now. 2500 years ago. When did we attribute it to Newton? or to the apple that fell on Newton's head? How many years ago was it? 16th century, 15th century? What's that? Renaissance time, right? So about approximately about 1600, 16th century, which is like twice before that, there was already this concept. So before we can brush the entire scriptural reference, entire Vedic knowledge, aside saying that, oh, these are just bunch of mantras, or these are just bunch of things, may or may not have meaning in it. Let us take a good in-depth analysis into various aspects of this. So I'll bring that scriptural reference and that aspect of history, historical reference, talk about all these which I have introduced today, so that there is a depth of clarity in understanding that maybe even I could suggest that if you are thinking of doing some research, pick one of such topics, find what the scripture is saying, and see if it is relevant, see if it is, prove it according to what they are saying. Even if you do once, I tell you the amount of faith, amount of reverence that will increase would be unstoppable. And of course, the pride with which we can look into our own past will be higher, and thereby our identity to be what we are and to proceed forward will become much more fruitful. Does it make sense? So the next 2 weeks we'll focus on that. Om Shanti 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 Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.